R Ambedkar, lovingly called Babasaheb, was a great Indian leader who worked to make things better. He fought for the rights of the untouchable caste in India. He was part of the freedom movement and had an important role in making the rules for India. He also worked hard to make society fairer, ensuring equal rights for the poor and women. Ambedkar was really smart and studied a lot. He went to universities in Mumbai, New York, and London to learn about law, money matters, and politics. He also had good ideas about how the economy works in India. In 1956, just before he passed away, he changed his religion from Hinduism to Buddhism. This change inspired many others from his community to do the same. Ambedkar was born in Maho, Madhya Pradesh. He was the 14th child of his father Ramji Sakpal, who was an officer in the British Indian Army. His family belonged to the Maha, Dalit, untouchable caste. When he was born, people in this caste faced a lot of unfair treatment. They didn't get good education or jobs. They weren't even allowed to use the same water as others, and they had to live in bad conditions with poor health. Maha people are mostly in Maharashtra and make up about 10% of the population. But, even though his father was in the British Indian Army, he fought for his kids to go to school. Ambedkar got a chance to go, but because the Brahmins and rich people didn't agree, the untouchable students had to study separately and sometimes were not allowed in class. In another piece of his writing called No Peon, No Water, Ambedkar talked about something from his past. He shared how he couldn't even get water without the help of a school worker. This showed how untouchables like him were often left out and treated unfairly. But his father had big dreams for his kids. He encouraged them to read important Hindu books and other stories to learn more. The way people treated Ambedkar because of his caste when he was born had a big impact on how he saw the world and politics. In 1896, his mom died, and his aunt took care of him because they didn't have much money. Out of his 13 brothers and sisters, only Ambedkar managed to finish high school, which was rare for someone from his caste. In 1897, he was the only untouchable kid in Bombay High School. Then in 1907, he became the first untouchable to join a college connected to the University of Bombay. People from his caste were really proud of this and had a big celebration, even though his dad didn't agree, thinking it would make him proud. In 1906, he got married to a girl named Ramabai when she was just 9 years old, as was the custom back then. Ambedkar did really well in his studies. He got a degree in economics and political science from Bombay University. He was so smart that in 1913, he got a scholarship to study at Columbia University in New York. There, he got a master's degree and wrote a special paper about ancient Indian commerce. After New York, in 1916, he went to London. He joined a place to study law at Gray's Inn and also went to the London School of Economics. By 1923, he became a barrister and finished his master's degree in economics, 1921, and even a DSc in economics, 1923. Ambedkar worked as an economist until 1921. He wrote an important paper that helped set up the Reserve Bank of India. In his research in 1923, he looked at how to keep the value of the rupee stable and how India's economy could get better. In 1917, he had to come back to India to work in the Baroda state military. But he didn't stay in the military for long. He left and started teaching people privately. He also tried to start a business to give advice about money, but he lost customers when they found out he was untouchable. In 1918, he got a job as a professor of political economy at Sydenham College in Bombay. He also worked as a lawyer. In the 1920s, Ambedkar got really concerned about the struggles of people from his own caste. He became a famous person in Indian politics. He wanted to make education better for the outcasts. In 1924, he started a group called Bahishkrit Hitkarini Sabha, which aimed to help the outcasts. Their main ideas were educate, agitate, and organize. He also started a newspaper called Muknayaka, which means leader of the silent. In the 1920s, he became more active in leading protests against discrimination. He encouraged big protests to fight against untouchability and for the right to use public water tanks. He even spoke out against parts of old Hindu traditions and burned books like Manusmriti that supported caste discrimination. He really wanted untouchables to be allowed into Hindu temples. In 1930, he led a peaceful march of about 15,000 untouchables to get into the Kalram temple. Ambedkar wrote a lot about caste. He strongly spoke against traditional Hinduism and the caste system. He had some concerns about Islam too. He thought it supported slavery and treated women unfairly. Ambedkar believed that untouchables would have better rights if they had their own way of voting. In 1932, he got an important invitation from the British to join a conference in London. The British liked his idea of a separate voting system. But Mahatma Gandhi didn't agree and he went on a fast while in jail, which caused a lot of trouble among the Hindu people. Fearing fights between traditional Hindus and Dalits, Ambedkar and Gandhi decided not to have a separate voting system. Instead, they agreed to reserve some seats for untouchables. This agreement, called the Pune Pact, brought Gandhi and Ambedkar closer in politics, but they still had some disagreements. Ambedkar wanted freedom for India, but he also cared a lot about making life better for untouchables and other poor people. In 1937, he started the Independent Labour Party to stand up for untouchables in elections. They did well in the 1937 elections in local areas, but didn't do as well in the 1947 elections. In 1947, when India got freedom, the government asked him to help make the new rules for the country. He became the head of the group that made these rules and also the first law minister. Ambedkar made a set of rules that protected the rights of poor people and women. Ambedkar grew up in a Hindu way of life and learned about Hindu teachings. But he didn't like how the caste system worked in Hinduism. He talked a lot about wanting to change his religion and told others to think about it too. He looked at Sikhism for some time. But in October 1956, he officially said he wanted to become a Buddhist. He learned about Buddhism all his life and in the 1950s, he spent more time studying it. He even went to Sri Lanka and joined meetings about Buddhism. After he changed his religion, he helped 500,000 of his followers also become Buddhists. This was one of the biggest group changes in India. He started the Buddhist Society of India and made Buddhism strong again in India, where it was born. Not long after he became a Buddhist, he peacefully passed away in his sleep on the 6th of December 1956, at his home in Delhi. He had diabetes and was very stressed. Many people came to say goodbye at his funeral, where they followed the Buddhist way of doing things. Ambedkar's work has left a strong mark on Indian culture, politics, and society. He played a big role in making the rules for India, which said everyone should be treated equally and discrimination should stop. Some people disagreed with his ideas about Hinduism, but many people liked what he did. In 2012, a lot of people voted for him as the greatest Indian in a poll by History TV 18 and CNN-IBN. He got nearly 20 million votes. People also say he did great work in economics. Nobel Prize winner Amartya Sen said his economic ideas are amazing and will be remembered forever. Dr. B. R. Ambedkar's life teaches us to never give up, believe in the power of education, and stand up against injustice with courage. His leadership and advocacy show that even one person can make a difference by speaking up for what's right. He emphasized unity in diversity, encouraged us to face challenges, and promoted forward-thinking ideas. His teachings emphasized self-respect and peaceful methods to bring change. Ambedkar's legacy reminds us that our actions can leave a lasting impact and create a better world.